Before marriage, I already knew that Shenze had once been in a passionate relationship. That girl was proud and couldn't stand the Shen family's contempt for her, so she decisively broke up with him. It was around this time that Shen Shan noticed me. From dating to marriage, every step we took was smooth, until our wedding night. A woman soaked through holding a child knocked on the door. She said, "Oh, please, Hamze, our child is sick. I can't save him." He said, "Don't be afraid. I won't let anything happen to him." As he led them out, they looked back at me, as if finally remembering that we had just got unmarried that day. He suppressed his emotions and explained nicely that he would be back soon, that the child was innocent. I didn't say anything. I handed him a jacket and told him to be careful not to catch cold in the heavy rain. The guilt on his face lasted only a moment. The woman and child were crying too loudly, and he had no attention left for me, the quiet, worry-free one. I stood there, still holding the towel I used to dry his hair. Shanzei, who appeared cold and unapproachable to outsiders, loved nothing more than to pester me into drying his hair. He would crouch pitifully by my legs, not saying a word. But it was enough to soften my heart. He was gone the entire night. When I heard the door open, I called out to him from the sofa. His hands were warm as he helped me put on a jacket. He didn't mention the woman, and I didn't ask. He brought me breakfast, steamed buns and congee, but only half portions. I gently pushed his hand away and said I wasn't hungry. He said, man, I didn't know about that child. I let go of those feelings years ago. But when she came begging, I couldn't just turn a blind eye. I did what I could. The rest has nothing to do with us. I wrapped my arms around his neck and said, I wasn't angry that he helped her. I was angry that he forgot to text me to let me know he was safe. I seen what you look like when you're in love, and I know what you look like when you're not. We're husband and wife. Trust me a little more." His arms tightened around my back, and he murmured the words he rarely said aloud, "I love you." He left for work. I was about to go back to bed when someone knocked on the door. Through the peephole, I saw Jung-Yun disheveled, sweating, looking panicked. I opened the door. When she saw it was me, her expression flickered. She said she was looking for Aze. I said he wasn't home and she could tell me whatever it was. She glanced at me lazily. "He's the father of my child. Who are you?" After she walked away, I sent Shanzai a message with trembling fingers. He replied with 3 words, "Got it." Something about those words made me uneasy. I found out which hospital Jung-Yun's child was in and drove there immediately. At the end of the corridor, I saw them standing together. When I got closer, I overheard Jung-Yun say, "If it weren't for Yang Yang being sick, do you think I'd want to come back?" I raised him on my own, drop by drop. "What gives you the right to call yourself his father?" She wiped her tears and sobbed, "But watching him waste away day by day, and I can't do anything about it. I regret it. If I weren't his mother, would he not have this disease?" Shinzei's voice was strained. "There must be a way. A way. I've taken him to every best hospital. I really don't know what to do." The proud, unyielding woman had been broken. Shenhai's hand, hanging at his side, slowly rose, then stopped just before touching her shoulder. On his face was pain, struggle. I turned and left. I waited downstairs at the hospital for a long time, until they finished talking, until their emotions had settled. I brought building blocks, which children usually like, and knocked on the hospital room door. They were reading a storybook to Yang Yang. Shensei noticed me first. He stood up and came over. I placed my hand on his and said I was also worried. His phone kept buzzing from work. He patted my hand and said the doctor would come to examine young Yang Yang soon and might need my help. I nodded. After the door closed, Jung Yoon suddenly spoke. "Yang Yang is 4. His world only has his mother. My world only has him. Do you understand? We don't need a father or a husband. Not everyone is your enemy." I didn't say anything. I knew her well. She always insisted on doing things herself. Even during her relationship with Shenzai, when others accused her of using him for his status, she refused any of his help. Later, when they talked about marriage and everyone thought she would move up in class, she broke up with him and disappeared. Now that she was back, I believed she had done everything she could. Still, knowing that didn't make it any easier for me. My birthday was coming up, our first after the wedding. I made a reservation at Shenzai's favorite restaurant and messaged him. I waited. People came and went. The moon climbed into the sky. His phone went straight to voicemail. The restaurant closed. I walked aimlessly through the streets. Passing by the hospital, I followed my instinct to the hospital room door. As I turned to leave, I heard the doctor's voice. You two are the child's parents, aren't you? You need to act urgently. Using umbilical cord blood is the safest option. His condition is stable now, but no one knows when it might worsen. By then, it will be too late. I froze. Umbilical cord blood? What did that mean? Before I could think, Shenzai's voice came with relief. Thank you, doctor. We'll do it. My ears rang. Shenzai caught Zhang Yun as her knees buckled. She cried silently. He pressed her into his arms and said solemnly, with me here, the child will be fine. I ran home in panic. The wind and rain slapped my face. I fell, tore off my heels, and kept running as if running would take me back to the past. Then a loud crash shattered my imagination. I lay in the middle of the road, the sky spinning above me. No use thinking. That was his child. He couldn't abandon it. A person only has two hands and can only hold one thing. As expected, when it came down to a choice between two, I was always the one left behind. I was my father's illegitimate child. My mother raised me until I was 14. Then her health failed and she couldn't handle it anymore. She sent me to my father's house. Life was hard there. My father had many children and paid me no attention. When someone showed me kindness, I didn't suspect anything until they tricked me into an empty classroom behind the school and locked the door. They threw away the key and left. Then Shenzai appeared out of the shadows, found the key, and opened the door. He said he'd been watching them sneaking around for days. Over time, I realized how soft-hearted he was. Using the excuse that he was my only friend, I became the only woman in his life. That one day, he told me he had a girlfriend. Her name was Zhang Yun. She was strong, opinionated. He really liked her. I went home that night and got drunk for the first time. The next day, I stepped back to the safe distance of a friend. I watched them date, fight, reconcile, and break up. Then I re-entered his world and helped him heal. Around that time, my father wanted to connect with the Shen family, which helped me. The day we got our marriage license, I cried with joy. I thought I would no longer be the one left behind when he had to choose. Fate played another joke on me. When I woke in the hospital, only a caretaker was by my side. I had been unconscious for nearly a month. Shenzai came, thinner, his face haggard, dark circles under his eyes. He tucked my blanket. I reached out from under the covers and took his cold hand. He gripped it tightly as if trying to fuse it into his body. He said, "You're alive. Don't leave me, please." Without answering, I used my other hand to smooth his messy hair. "You left before I could finish drying it last time," I said. He buried his face in my neck and said, brokenly, "I won't leave. I'll never leave again." A few days later, he took me home from the hospital. When I asked about Zhang Yun and Yang Yang, he said they'd been sent abroad, where there was a specialist with a high success rate. After the accident, Shenzai had become noticeably more sensitive. He wanted to handle everything himself. If he couldn't see me for even a minute, he would search for me. At home, he treated me like an endangered animal. I spun around and told him he didn't need to be so nervous, that I'd almost recovered. His face went pale. After a long time, he pulled me close and buried his head in my shoulder, saying, "I love you." I patted his back and said, If you keep this up, the child will laugh at you. He stiffened, pulled back, and looked at my stomach. Are you pregnant? No, I mean in the future. He let out a subtle sigh of relief. He crouched down and pressed his ear to my belly, as if there really was a child there. Just as I was about to tell him my idea, his phone rang. He went to the balcony to take the call. I went to the kitchen to get a knife. As I passed the balcony, I caught fragments of his voice. Take care of the child. In a while? Look, she doesn't know. He hung up and was so startled to see me that he dropped his phone. I picked it up. The call log showed a number that looked familiar. He took the phone, walked me back to the bedroom, and said the company needed him, asking me to wait for him. Then I pulled out my own phone and saw 2 messages from a number I didn't recognize. Coffee shop. Things you want to know. The repeated blows left my body weaker than before. A few days passed in relative peace. Then Zhang Yun burst in, panicked, ignoring me and the caretaker. She grabbed Shenzai's sleeve and begged Yang Yang had a sudden fever and was crying for his father, only he could make the child take his medicine. Shenzai pulled his sleeve away angrily, saying he had nothing to do with Yang Yang. Tears rolled down Zhang Yun's face. He didn't spare her another glance, and instead offered me a peeled apple. I didn't move. I just watched her walk away. Over the next week, she came many times, begging him to visit. She even knelt in private. He stopped her, and his tone softened just this once. I stood in the shadows and saw the tension leave his face. He had wanted to go all along. I knew him. He was soft-hearted. A 4-year-old, his first child, sick and wanting his father. And besides, Zhang Yun was someone he had loved deeply. I chose a sunny afternoon. They came back from an outing at the amusement park, 3 of them. Yang Yang sat on his shoulders, waving a candy painting of their family of 3. Zhang Yun lagged behind, and Shenzai turned back, offering his hand. They held hands and didn't let go. If I had been a stranger, seeing such a happy family, I might have thought they were lucky. But the problem was, Shenzai and I weren't divorced yet. I stood on the hospital steps and greeted his contented face. Did you have fun? Let's settle our business now. Zhang Yun stepped behind him. Yang Yang hid his smile and whimpered, Daddy. My head hurts. I kept my voice gentle. It's just a divorce. It'll be quick. It won't interfere with your plans. I pressed the printed divorce agreement into his chest. This is the last good thing you can do for me. Don't take too long. He took 2 steps toward me, thinking he saw hope. You haven't recovered. You can't be out in the wind. Let me carry you back. I smiled. A real smile, and asked, You remember when Yang Wang Xiaomao therapy is? Do you remember how many days I'd been in the hospital? Today is my discharge day. I took a breath. Shenzai, what does real disappointment look like? Screaming? Collapsing? Hurting yourself? No. When disappointment reaches its end, it becomes relief. I don't love you anymore. Let me go. A few days later, he sent back the signed divorce papers. They weren't the same version I'd given him. He'd withdrawn the division of assets, and the portion allocated to me was enough to live lavishly for the rest of my life. We still had 30 days to wait. I went to the honeymoon destination we'd chosen before marriage. Traveling, seeing different faces, different things, sleeping in, drinking coffee in the sun, staying up all night to see the sunrise. When the trip ended, I stood in the most visible spot and waited for him to emerge from the crowd. He came, saying it was a coincidence. Staying across from my hotel, coincidence. Standing behind me at sunrise, coincidence. Being on the same flight back, coincidence. I didn't bother to expose his lies. There were fewer than 10 days left. The day before we were to receive the final divorce certificate, he rushed to my hotel breathless, and shoved a crumpled document into my hands. It was a paternity test. Shenzai was not Yang Yang's biological father. Yang Yang isn't my child. Man, we're not over. I looked at him with a tired calm. So what? When she first showed up, you didn't question it. When you slept with her, you didn't question it. Now, one step away from divorce, you thought to get a test? Do you think I'm that easy to fool? Do you think I was divorcing you only because of Yang Yang? This test would have mattered any other time. But not now. It was too late. The next morning we went to the registry. The divorce was finalized faster than I expected. As we walked out, Shenzai stared at the little red booklet in his hand, unable to process it. Jung Yun ran toward him with Yang Yang shouting, "Daddy, Daddy, marry mommy." Yang Yang fell. Jung Yun grabbed for Shenzai's sleeve and grabbed nothing. He stopped in front of me, desperately trying to distance himself from them. "I've really sent them away, man. I didn't know when they came back." I held up the still warm divorce certificate between us. "Mr. Shenhe, conduct yourself with dignity. We're strangers now. There's nothing you need to explain to me." Over his shoulder, I saw hatred brimming in Jung Yun's eyes. Her wish had come true. She was carrying Shenzai's child. Marrying into his family was only a matter of time. I took a step back. "Mr. Shenhe, congratulations on your upcoming wedding." Then I turned, got into my car, and drove away. His figure receded into the distance until I couldn't see him anymore. Whether he would end up marrying her or not, I didn't care. I was about to begin my next life, with enough money in my account to do it on my own terms.